I always knew I was the family mistake, but hearing it said out loud still felt like a knife to the gut. We'll need to be strategic about the photos. My mother's voice drifted through the crack in the door. Addison's unfortunate features could detract from the message we're trying to send. My father's reply was immediate and dismissive. Just crop her out. The charity wants aspirational, not awkward. Nobody needs to know she exists. I'm Addison, the invisible daughter of the picture perfect McGregor family. At 19, I've spent my entire life being compared to my flawless older sister, Desiree, and always coming up short. Too tall, too plain, too quiet, a collection of imperfections that never quite fit into my parents' carefully curated world. Addison! My mother's sharp voice made me jump away from the door. Stop lurking and come in here. I stepped into my father's study, where both my parents sat behind his massive mahogany desk. My mother's perfectly manicured fingers drummed against the polished surface while my father barely glanced up from his laptop. We're doing a photo shoot next week, she announced. The Children's Hope Foundation has asked us to be the face of their new campaign. How nice, I managed, my throat tight with the conversation I'd just overheard. Your sister will be the centerpiece, of course, my mother continued. She has the perfect look for this kind of thing. You'll need to be there, but try to stay in the background. My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably Violet confirming our coffee meetup. I nodded mechanically, already planning my escape. And for heaven's sake, my mother added, do something with your hair before then. We can't have you looking like you just rolled out of bed. Yes, mother. The moment I was free, I fled to the local coffee shop where Violet was waiting. My best friend since middle school, she was the only person who saw past my family's glossy facade. You look like you've seen a ghost, Violet said, pushing my usual vanilla latte across the table. Worse, I just got drafted into another family PR stunt. I slumped into the chair. They're doing some charity photo shoot. Violet's eyes lit up. Wait, the Children's Hope Foundation shoot? I know about that one. How? Because I'm the photographer they hired. She leaned forward, lowering her voice. Your mother has no idea I'm connected to you. The agency just sent over my portfolio and they loved my work. I stared at her, my mind racing with possibilities. Vi, do you realize what this means? That I get to watch your mom micromanage every shot while pretending not to know her daughter's best friend? Violet's smile turned wicked. Or were you thinking something more interesting? They're planning to crop me out, I said, my voice steady, despite the hurt churning in my stomach. I heard them talking about it. They want to pretend I don't exist. Those bastards. Violet's expression hardened. So what are we going to do about it? We? I asked, hope flickering in my chest. Of course, we. You think I'm going to let them get away with this? She pulled out her phone, already typing notes. I can set up hidden cameras, catch all the behind the scenes drama, every nasty comment, every manipulative moment. They'd lose everything, I whispered, both thrilled and terrified by the idea. Their reputation, their social standing. They deserve to lose it, Violet said firmly. The world needs to see who they really are. My phone buzzed again, a text from my sister. Where are you? Mom's on a rampage about the shoot. I showed it to Violet, who raised an eyebrow. Are you going to tell Desiree? No, I said, surprising myself with my certainty. She's part of their perfect picture. She wouldn't understand. Then it's just you and me, Violet said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. We're going to make sure everyone sees the truth behind those perfect family photos. I looked at my reflection in the coffee shop window. The girl they always tried to hide, the daughter they wished they could erase. For once, the sight didn't make me want to disappear. You know what the worst part is? I said, turning back to Violet. They're using a children's charity to boost their own image. Kids who actually need help are just props to them. Then let's make it count, Violet replied. We'll expose them, and maybe the foundation will find someone who actually cares about the cause. I nodded, feeling stronger than I had in years. They wanted to crop me out of their perfect family portrait? Fine, I'd show the world exactly what that picture was hiding. Let's do it, I said, and Violet's answering smile was fierce with loyalty. For the first time in my life, I wasn't going to fade into the background. I was going to make sure everyone saw the truth, every ugly, honest detail of it. Hold still, Violet muttered, pinning the tiny microphone inside my collar. This thing cost me 2 weeks' salary, so try not to spill anything on it. We were huddled in her cramped apartment bedroom, surrounded by camera equipment and tangled wires. 3 days until the photo shoot, and every detail had to be perfect. Are you sure it won't be visible? I tugged at my shirt nervously. Please, Violet scoffed. I've done event photography for 2 years. I know every trick for hidden cameras and mics. She stepped back, examining her work. Now move around a bit. Let's make sure nothing shows. I paced the room, trying to act natural. How many cameras are you planning to hide at the shoot? 4, strategically placed, plus the main camera I'll be using officially. Violet pulled out her laptop. But first, you need to see this. Remember how I said I'd dig into the charity angle? She opened her email and turned the screen toward me. These are exchanges between your mother and the Foundation's PR team. Look at the highlighted parts. My eyes scanned the text, stomach churning. She's demanding final approval on all images and complete control of the narrative? That's not normal for a charity campaign, is it? Not even close. And look at this part. She's specifically requested that all donation information be routed through her personal assistant first. Violet's voice dripped with disgust. Want to bet those donations won't make it to the actual charity? God, that's low, even for her. I sat heavily on Violet's bed. How did you get these emails? Let's just say I know someone in IT who owed me a favor. She closed the laptop. The question is, what else are they hiding? A knock at the door made us both jump. Violet quickly shoved the microphone equipment under her bed before calling out, Come in! It was Desiree. My perfect, golden haired sister stood in the doorway, looking unusually uncertain. I thought I'd find you here, she said, eyes moving between us suspiciously. What are you two whispering about? Nothing, I said too quickly. Just photo shoot prep. Right? Desiree stepped inside, closing the door behind her. The same photo shoot where I heard Mom telling the makeup artist to keep you in natural lighting because it's more forgiving? I flinched. Violet moved protectively closer to me. What do you want, Desiree? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I want to know what you're planning. She crossed her arms. Don't pretend you're not up to something. I saw all those texts between you two and Violet suddenly being hired as the photographer. That's not a coincidence. Maybe you should leave, Violet suggested coldly. But Desiree wasn't moving. Instead, she did something that shocked us both. She started to cry. You think you're the only one who hates it? She asked, mascara running down her cheeks. The constant pressure, the perfect poses, the endless criticism. Mom's been controlling my life since I was born. Every meal, every outfit, every boyfriend has to fit her vision. I stared at my sister, really seeing her for the first time in years. The perfect mask was cracking, revealing something raw and desperate underneath. At least you get to be invisible sometimes, she continued. I have to be on every second of every day. Do you know how exhausting that is? Desiree, I started, but she cut me off. I saw the microphone. She said quietly, Whatever you're planning, I want in. Violet and I exchanged glances. It's dangerous, I warned. If this works, there's no going back. The family reputation. Screw the family reputation? Desiree's outburst was so unlike her that we both jumped. I'm sick of being their puppet. I'm sick of watching them tear you down. I'm just sick of all of it. Silence filled the room as we absorbed her words. Finally, Violet spoke. If you're serious about helping, we need to know everything. Every secret, every scandal they've tried to bury. Desiree wiped her eyes, smearing more mascara. Oh, I can tell you things that would make your head spin, starting with what really happened to Cousin Lena's family. What about them? I asked, remembering how our cousins had suddenly stopped coming to family events years ago. It wasn't a falling out like Mom claimed, Desiree said grimly. She deliberately sabotaged Aunt Sarah's business, then blamed it on Lena, all because Lena was getting more attention than me at family functions. My blood ran cold. How do you know this? Because I heard Mom bragging about it to Dad. She called it pruning the family tree. Desiree's face hardened. So, yeah, I want in. Tell me what you need me to do. I looked at Violet, who nodded slowly. Welcome to the Resistance, she said, pulling the microphone back out from under the bed. Let's talk strategy. Straighten your back, Addison. You're slouching again. My mother's voice cut through the air like a whip. And for heaven's sake, try to look less, well, just try to look better. We were doing a pre shoot wardrobe fitting in our living room, and every minute felt like an hour. Desiree caught my eye in the mirror and gave me a subtle eye roll. Mother? Desiree said sweetly. Maybe if you stopped criticizing Addison every 5 seconds, she'd be more relaxed. Mom's head snapped toward her favorite daughter. Since when do you defend her? Since I developed basic human empathy. Desiree shot back, surprising everyone in the room, including herself. The seamstress, working on my hem, paused, clearly uncomfortable with the tension. My father looked up from his phone, frowning. Desiree, he warned, watch your tone. Or what, Dad? You'll crop me out of the photos too? The room went deadly silent. My mother's face turned white, then red. What did you just say? Nothing. I jumped in quickly. She didn't mean anything by it. No, I meant exactly what I said. Desiree continued, her voice growing stronger. I heard you and Dad planning to edit Addison out of the shots. How can you be so cruel? That's enough. My father stood up, his carefully maintained charm cracking. This discussion is over. Both of you go to your rooms. We're not children anymore, I said quietly, surprising myself. You can't just send us away when we point out uncomfortable truths. The doorbell rang, cutting through the tension. A moment later, our cousin Lena walked in, stopping short at the scene before her. Am I interrupting something? She asked hesitantly. No, dear, my mother said, instantly switching to her society voice. We're just having a little family discussion about the photo shoot. You're here for your fitting too, I assume? Lena nodded, but her eyes were fixed on me and Desiree. She'd always been quiet, easy to overlook, but something in her expression made me wonder how much she'd heard. Addison, go help Lena with her dress, my mother commanded. Desiree, we'll discuss your attitude adjustment later. In the guest room, Lena watched as I hung up her dress. Things seem intense down there, she said carefully. When aren't they? I tried to sound casual, but my hands were shaking as I smoothed the fabric. I heard what Desiree said, Lena continued, about them planning to edit you out. I froze. Lena. They did the same thing to my mom, she said quietly, before they destroyed her business. They started by erasing her from family photos, then from events, then from everything. I know what they did to your family, I admitted. Desiree told me the truth. Lena's eyes widened. She knows? We both do, and we're planning something about it. Count me in, Lena said immediately. What? I want to help. Her usual timidity was gone, replaced by something harder. My mom still cries sometimes about what happened. She lost everything because Aunt Cynthia couldn't stand sharing the spotlight. Before I could respond, my mother's voice carried up the stairs. Addison, stop dawdling and bring Lena down. Just a minute, I called back, then turned to Lena. Are you sure about this? It could get ugly. It's already ugly, she replied. At least this way, the truth comes out. We headed downstairs, where my mother was critiquing Desiree's makeup. The foundation needs to be heavier, dear. We can't have any imperfections showing. Heaven forbid we look human, Desiree muttered. I heard that, Mom snapped. One more comment like that, and you can forget about the new car we promised for your birthday. Really? Desiree laughed bitterly. You're going to threaten me with material things. That's all you know how to do, isn't it? Buy loyalty, threaten people with loss, manipulate everyone around you? Richard, my mother called out, come deal with your daughter. Which one? My father asked dryly, not looking up from his phone. The disappointment or the one having a mental breakdown? I felt Lena stiffen beside me. She pulled out her phone and started recording discreetly. Both of them, my mother hissed. And Addison, wipe that smirk off your face. You're lucky we're even including you in this shoot. Yeah, I said, feeling strangely calm. Really lucky to be included in a fake charity campaign designed to boost your social status. What a privilege. The silence that followed was deafening. My father finally looked up, his eyes cold. Watch yourself, young lady. You're walking a very dangerous line. Or what? I challenged. You'll destroy my reputation like you did to Aunt Sarah? My mother's face went pale. Behind her, Lena's phone kept recording, capturing every moment of their masks slipping. The game was changing, and for once I wasn't the only one who could see through their perfect facade. Everyone in position, Violet called out, adjusting her professional camera. Mrs. McGregor, could you move slightly to the left? Perfect. The studio buzzed with activity. Makeup artists touched up faces, assistants adjusted lighting, and my mother preened like a peacock in her designer dress. I stood at the edge of the frame, exactly where they wanted me, barely visible. Remember, my mother whispered as she passed me, smile like you mean it, even if we all know you don't. Violet caught my eye and tapped her collar subtly, reminding me that every cruel word was being recorded by the hidden mic. Can we get the Foundation representatives in the shot? My father called out, his public persona firmly in place. After all, this is about the children. Two charity workers stepped forward, looking uncomfortable in their simple business attire amid our family's excessive glamour. My mother immediately took center stage, wrapping an arm around one of them. Charity begins at home, she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. Then, under her breath to my father, just not with people like Addison. Click. Violet's camera caught the exact moment my face fell. Perfect. Mrs. McGregor, one of the charity workers, spoke up. We were hoping to discuss the donation routing. Later, dear. My mother cut her off smoothly. Let's focus on getting these lovely shots first. Across the room, Lena was methodically sabotaging small things, slightly unplugging lights, accidentally bumping the backdrop, creating tiny delays that made my mother increasingly agitated. For heaven's sake, my mother snapped after the third interruption. Can't anyone here do their job properly? Mom, Desiree stepped in, maybe we should take a break. Everyone's tired. Tired? This is nothing. When I was your age, when you were my age, you were already planning how to destroy Aunt Sarah's business, Desiree said, just loud enough for the mics to pick up. The charity workers exchanged glances. My father stepped forward, damage control mode activated. My daughter has such an active imagination, he laughed nervously. Now, about those group shots. Actually, Violet interrupted, I think we need to change the lighting setup. Addison, could you help me? I followed her to the equipment corner where Damien, Desiree's boyfriend, was waiting. He'd been quietly observing all morning, but his expression now was serious. You need to hear this, he said in a low voice. I was going through some old files at the office. I intern at your dad's company, remember? I found something about your mom and the foundation. What about them? I asked, pretending to help Violet with her equipment. She's been skimming from charity events for years. Not just this one, dozens of them, setting up fake routing accounts, creating shell companies to process donations. It's all there in the paperwork. My hands froze on the light stand. You have proof? Screenshots, documents, everything. He glanced nervously at my parents. But that's not all. The scandal with your aunt? It goes deeper than you know. Your mom didn't just sabotage her business, she set her up to take the fall for embezzlement. Your aunt could have gone to jail. Oh my God, Violet whispered, still pretending to adjust her camera. Addison, my mother's sharp voice cut through our conversation. Stop wasting time back there. We need you in these shots, unfortunately. Coming, mother? I called back, exchanging meaningful looks with Violet and Damien. As I walked back to the set, I passed Lena, who whispered, the charity workers are getting suspicious. They keep asking about the donation processes. Good, I murmured. Let them ask questions. Back under the lights, my mother gripped my arm painfully. Stand up straight, she hissed, and try to look less. You. Click. Another perfect shot of her mask slipping. Mrs. McGregor, one of the charity workers tried again, about the donation routing. I said later, my mother snapped, then immediately plastered on a smile as Violet's camera pointed their way. Actually, the worker persisted, our board requires immediate clarification on do you know who we are? My father stepped in, his voice low and threatening. One word from us could ensure your organization never receives another major donation. Click, click, click. Violet's camera captured every second. Daddy, Desiree said sweetly, are you threatening charity workers? That doesn't seem very philanthropic. The tension in the room could have been cut with a knife. My mother's perfect smile was cracking. My father's charm was wearing thin, and somewhere in the background, hidden cameras were recording it all. Perhaps, my mother said through gritted teeth, we should take that break after all. As the room dispersed, I caught Violet's eye. She gave me a subtle thumbs up. Everything was being captured exactly as planned. Soon, the world would see behind the perfect family photos, behind the charitable facade, behind every carefully constructed lie. And this time, no one was getting cropped out of the picture. Play it again, I told Violet, leaning closer to her laptop screen. We were reviewing the footage from the photo shoot in her apartment, and each replay revealed new horrors. Listen to this part. Violet said, clicking to a specific timestamp. My mother's voice filled the room. The foundation is lucky to have us. With our reputation, we could be working with any charity. They should be grateful we're even considering their little cause. Got something worse, Desiree said from the couch, where she was going through Damien's documents. Look at these transfer records. Mom's been filtering donation money through 3 different shell companies. Lena, who'd been quiet until now, spoke up. That's exactly what she did to my mom. Set up fake companies, created paper trails, made it look like she was stealing. I found the original documents, Damien added, pulling up files on his phone. Your mom fabricated everything. She even forged signatures. A knock at the door made us all jump. Violet quickly minimized windows as she went to check who it was. It's just me, called a familiar voice, one of the charity workers from the photo shoot. We'd invited her after she'd shown concern about the donation routing. Come in, Rachel, Violet called back. The charity worker entered, looking nervous but determined. I brought what you asked for, she said, pulling out a folder. Internal documents showing all the red flags we've found. Multiple foundations have reported similar issues with your parents' involvement. How many? I asked, dreading the answer. 7 in the past 3 years. All reported missing funds, all traced back to the same routing system. She spread the papers on Violet's coffee table. But everyone was too afraid to pursue it. Your parents have too many connections. Not for long, Desiree said grimly. She pulled out her phone and opened the camera. I want to record my statement about everything. Desiree, are you sure? I asked. Once you do this, I'm sure. She sat up straighter. Start recording. Violet hit record, and Desiree began speaking. My name is Desiree McGregor, and I'm here to tell the truth about my family. For years, I've watched my parents manipulate, threaten, and destroy people's lives. I've watched them emotionally abuse my sister Addison, sabotage my aunt's business, and steal from children's charities. As she spoke, my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Where are you? The magazine wants additional shots. Come home immediately. They're getting suspicious, I said, showing the others. We need to move faster. I'm sending everything to my editor contact tonight, Violet assured me. Once it goes live, another knock at the door, harder this time. Addison? My mother's voice rang out. I know you're in there. Open this door right now. Everyone froze. Rachel quickly gathered her documents. Damien and Lena moved to block the laptop screen. Coming, I called out, heart pounding. I nodded to Violet, who started her phone recording before I opened the door. My mother burst in, face flushed with anger. How dare you ignore my messages? The magazine is waiting, and she stopped short, taking in the scene. What is this? What's what, mother? Desiree asked innocently. We're just hanging out. With her? Mom pointed at Rachel. The charity worker who kept asking inappropriate questions? Questions about where the donations are going? I suggested. Seems pretty appropriate for a charity representative. My mother's eyes narrowed. I don't know what you think you're doing, but it stops now. Both of you, come home immediately, or. Or what? Desiree stood up. You'll destroy us like you destroyed Aunt Sarah? Frame us for embezzlement? Filter our futures through shell companies? The color drained from my mother's face. Who told you about? We have proof, I said quietly. All of it. The fake companies, the forged documents, the stolen donations, everything. You ungrateful little. She stepped toward me, hand raised, but Damien quickly moved between us. I wouldn't, he said calmly. That probably wouldn't look good in the footage. Footage? Her eyes darted around the room, finally noticing Violet's phone. You've been recording? We've been doing a lot more than that, Lena spoke up. The truth about what you did to my family is finally coming out. My mother's perfect mask cracked completely. If you do this, she hissed, you'll destroy everything. Our reputation, our standing, your father's business. You mean like you destroyed other people's lives? I asked. Maybe it's time for karma to come full circle. She backed toward the door, pointing at each of us in turn. This isn't over. When your father hears about this, he'll what? Desiree challenged. Release the evidence of his own involvement because we have that too. My mother fled, slamming the door behind her. In the silence that followed, I could hear my heart pounding. Well, Violet said, stopping the recording, I guess we're doing this tonight. I nodded, feeling simultaneously terrified and relieved. Send everything. It's time for the world to see the truth. It's live, Violet announced, her finger hovering over her laptop's enter key. Once I post this, there's no going back. Are you ready? We were huddled in her apartment at 6 a.m., the exact time the magazine was releasing their glossy charity photo shoot online. Desiree, Lena, and Damien crowded around us, all still in yesterday's clothes after pulling an all nighter to prepare everything. Do it, I said. Click. Within minutes, our expose started spreading across social media. Side by side with the magazine's perfectly posed photos were the raw, unedited footage and documents. Every cruel comment, every threatening gesture, every damning paper trail. My phone started buzzing nonstop. First came the family group chat. Mom, what have you done? Dad, delete this immediately. Mom, I'm calling our lawyers. Desiree, good luck explaining the forged documents to them. Then came the texts from extended family. Aunt Sarah, I knew it. I always knew what she did to me. Uncle Robert, is this why we were cut off from family events? Cousin Mark, holy shit, this explains everything. Look at the comments, Damien said, scrolling through his phone. People are sharing it everywhere. Family from Hell exposed, Lena read from a trending headline. Charity scam uncovered by daughters. My hands were shaking as I read through the responses. Local news outlets were already picking up the story. The Children's Hope Foundation released an immediate statement distancing themselves from my parents. Addison, Violet said urgently, your father's company's stock is dropping. The market just opened and it's already down 15%. My phone rang. My mother. I put it on speaker. You vicious, ungrateful child, she snarled. Do you have any idea what you've done? The board is calling an emergency meeting. Your father's partners are pulling out. Our friends are all calling. Good, I interrupted. Let them see who you really are. I am your mother. Everything I've done was to maintain our position, our status. By stealing from charities? Desiree cut in. By destroying Aunt Sarah's life? That woman was a threat. She was turning the family against us. Filling your heads with. With what, Mom? I asked. Human decency? She hung up. Seconds later, my father called. Whatever you want, he said, his voice eerily calm. Name your price. Money, cars, a new house. Whatever it takes to end this now. You still don't get it, I replied. This isn't about getting something from you, it's about exposing the truth. The truth? He laughed bitterly. The truth is, you've just destroyed this family's legacy. Hope you're proud of yourself. The calls kept coming reporters, family friends, business associates. Each notification felt like another brick falling from my parents' carefully built wall of lies. Look at this, Violet said, pulling up a new email. 3 other charities want to come forward about similar experiences with your parents. And holy shit, a major news network wants to interview you both. There's more, Damien added. People from your dad's company are speaking out. Apparently, this wasn't the first time they've done something like this. Suddenly, our phones all buzzed simultaneously, a mass text from my mother. To all family members, any contact with Addison or Desiree will result in immediate and permanent excommunication from the family. Choose wisely. Wow, Lena said. She's really doubling down. Let me respond. Aunt Sarah replied to the group. Dear Cynthia, go to hell. Love, the sister in law you tried to frame for embezzlement. More replies flooded in. We stand with Addison and Desiree. The truth needed to come out. You can't threaten us anymore. They're here, Violet said, looking out her window. Local news vans were pulling up outside her apartment building. What do you want to do? I looked at Desiree, who nodded. We tell them everything, she said. No more hiding. My phone buzzed one last time, a private text from my father. You've made your choice. Don't ever expect to come home again. Home? I typed back. That house stopped being home a long time ago. The only difference is now everyone knows why. I turned to the others, my chosen family who had stood by me through all of this. Ready to face the cameras? Together, Desiree said, squeezing my hand. We walked toward the door, toward the reporters, toward the truth we'd finally set free. Behind us, our phones kept buzzing with notifications as the story spread, but we didn't look back. The perfect family portrait had shattered, and in its broken pieces, we were finally finding our real reflection. Breaking news. Prominent socialite couple faces criminal investigation following charity fraud allegations. The news anchor's voice filled the hotel room where we'd been staying since the story broke 3 days ago. Desiree sat beside me on the bed, both of us still in our interview clothes from our appearance on a morning talk show. Turn it up, Damien called from the adjoining room, where he was coordinating with our newly hired legal team. Sources confirm that multiple charitable organizations have filed formal complaints. The anchor continued. The scandal has already resulted in the resignation of Richard McGregor from his position as CEO. My phone rang. Violet, you need to see this, she said without preamble. Your mom just went live on social media. I quickly pulled up the video. My mother sat in our living room, perfectly coiffed despite everything, trying to salvage what remained of her reputation. As a mother, she said, dabbing at dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief, nothing hurts more than seeing your own children turn against you. These vicious lies. Lies? Lena's voice cut through as she stepped into frame. The camera shook as my mother startled. What are you doing here? How did you get in? Aunt Sarah let me in. You know, the woman whose life you destroyed. Lena's voice was steady. I've been quiet for years, watching you hurt people. Not anymore. The live stream's comment section exploded. Go, Lena. Tell the truth. Expose her. Security, my mother called out, but Lena wasn't finished. You want to talk about lies? Let's talk about what really happened to my family. Show them the documents, Aunt Cynthia. Show them how you forged my mother's signature, how you planted false evidence. The stream cut off abruptly. Seconds later, Lena called. That felt amazing, she said, breathless. She's completely losing it. Your dad just got home and they're screaming at each other. A text from Aunt Sarah followed. Your mother just fired all the household staff. She's convinced they're secretly recording her. Richard is packing his bags. Guys, Damien called out, you need to see this email. The Foundation's board wants you both to speak at their annual gala. They're saying your exposure of charity fraud could help prevent similar cases. Desiree grabbed my hand. We should do it. Another breaking news alert flashed across the TV. Exclusive: former employees speak out against McGregor family's years of deception. My phone rang again. An unknown number. I answered cautiously. Addison? A familiar voice. This is Rachel from the Foundation. We've been going through all the records, the amount they diverted. It's in the millions, multiple charities, multiple years. How bad is it? Criminal charges bad. The FBI is involved now. As if on cue, Violet burst into our hotel room. They're executing a search warrant at your house. It's all over the local news. We switched channels to see police cars surrounding our family home. My mother was being escorted out, still trying to maintain her dignity as reporters shouted questions. My father was already in the back of a police car. I never thought it would go this far, Desiree whispered. Did you see this? Damien held up his phone. Our story had been picked up by major national newspapers. The headlines were brutal: Society's Perfect Family, A House of Cards, Daughters Expose Parents' Charitable Fraud Empire, McGregor Scandal Rocks Philanthropic Community. Aunt Sarah called next. Your mother just tried to transfer everything to offshore accounts. The banks froze them all. She's threatening to sue everyone, including her own lawyer. Where will you go now? Violet asked softly. Before I could answer, another call came in, a magazine editor. We want to tell your full story, she said. No holds barred, complete creative control. This could help other families break free from toxic cycles. I looked at Desiree, who nodded. Send us the details. Suddenly, the hotel room door flew open. Our mother stood there, mascara streaked down her face, designer outfit askew. Are you happy now? She snarled. Everything we built, everything we gave you. You mean everything you stole? Desiree stood up. Everything you lied about? I made you who you are. No, I said, finding my voice. You tried to make us what you wanted, but we chose to be something else. Something real. Security! Damien called out. Within seconds, hotel staff appeared to escort my mother away. This isn't over, she shouted as they led her out. I'm still your mother. No, Desiree said, quietly as the door closed. You're just the woman who taught us exactly who we don't want to be. In the silence that followed, my phone buzzed one last time. A text from Lena. Aunt Sarah's hosting a family dinner. Real family only. You coming? I looked at Desiree, both of us smiling through tears. Yes, I replied. We're coming home. Ready? Violet adjusted her camera as we stood outside the Children's Hope Foundation building. The autumn wind whipped around us, carrying fallen leaves across the steps. As ready as I'll ever be, I replied, smoothing down my simple black dress, no designer labels, no pretense, just me. Inside, the annual gala was already packed. But unlike the society events of my childhood, this crowd felt genuine. Real people doing real work for real causes. There's my girls. Aunt Sarah waved us over to where she stood with Lena and several foundation board members. They're about to start. Have you seen the news? Damien asked, joining us with his phone out. Your parents' sentencing is trending. I hadn't watched the coverage, didn't need to. 8 years for fraud and embezzlement felt both too much and not enough. Addison? The foundation director approached. You're up next. I took my place at the podium, looking out at the sea of faces. In the front row, Desiree gave me a thumbs up. Behind her, Violet's camera clicked softly, documenting this moment, not to hide the truth this time, but to preserve it. My name is Addison, I began, and I grew up believing I was a mistake, the daughter who didn't fit into the perfect family portrait. But I've learned that sometimes the biggest mistakes lead to the most important truths. The room fell silent, hanging on every word. When we exposed our parents' charity fraud, people called us brave. But the real heroes are the ones who've been doing this work honestly all along. The ones who understand that true charity isn't about photo ops or tax write offs, it's about making a real difference. Movement at the back of the room caught my eye. Rachel, the charity worker who'd helped us, was leading in a group of children from one of the foundation's programs. They carried handmade thank you cards for the donors. Because of this foundation's real work, I continued, these kids have a chance, not because someone wanted social media likes or magazine coverage, but because people cared enough to do what's right. My voice cracked slightly. Desiree stood and joined me at the podium, taking my hand. Today, she added, we're announcing the creation of the Truth in Philanthropy Initiative. Using the recovered funds from our parents' fraud, we're establishing oversight protocols to prevent similar schemes from happening again. Applause erupted. In the crowd, I saw Aunt Sarah wiping tears, Lena beaming proudly, Violet capturing every moment. But that's not all, I said once the clapping died down. We're also launching a support network for families trapped in cycles of toxic perfectionism and social manipulation. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is tell the truth, even when it costs you everything. Or helps you find everything that matters, Desiree added softly. After the speech, as people mingled and shared stories, a young girl from the program approached me. She couldn't have been more than 12 with glasses and slightly messy hair, a younger version of myself. Is it true, she asked, that your parents tried to make you invisible? I knelt down to her level. They tried, but I learned that being visible, being real, is more important than being perfect. She hugged me suddenly, fiercely. Over her shoulder, I saw Violet capture the moment, but this time I didn't flinch from the camera. Beautiful shot, Damien said, looking at Violet's display screen. Should we use it for the book cover? Our memoir was due out next month, not for fame or revenge, but to help others recognize and escape similar situations. Perfect is overrated, I told the girl as she pulled away. Be real instead. Later that evening, our real family gathered at Aunt Sarah's house, the home that had become our sanctuary. No formal dining room, no perfect place settings, just love and acceptance around a crowded kitchen table. To truth, Lena raised her glass. To family, Aunt Sarah added. To being perfectly imperfect, Desiree finished. I looked around at these faces. My sister who found her voice, my aunt who reclaimed her life, my cousin who stood up for justice, my best friend who helped expose the truth, and all the others who chose authenticity over appearance. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother's new prison number. I deleted it without reading it. You okay? Violet asked softly. Better than okay, I replied, taking in the scene before me. Damien and Desiree planning their wedding, Lena showing Aunt Sarah her college acceptance letter, the wall of perfectly imperfect family photos that told our real story. This was what a true family looked like. Not airbrushed, not edited, not cropped to hide the flaws. Just real people, loving each other exactly as they were. I picked up my glass. To being visible, I said. To being visible, they echoed, and in their voices, I heard home.